Good to have you with us. Communication Workers of America bring you this production. Who saw what on September 11th, 2001, and what does it matter? Well, it all deals with refugees. It deals with the contentious attitude that has developed in this country from the right wing towards the Muslim faith in America. It talks about our security. All of this is enthralled in this conversation. And it all boils down to the leading candidate for the Republicans saying that what he saw on September 11th was a bunch of Muslims in New Jersey who were celebrating that this country, the United States, got hit. This is Governor Christie clarifying his earlier comments about not remembering it.
People microanalyze every word. I said I don't remember it. And I wanted to qualify it that day. Not that I thought it happened, but just to remind people that was a very emotional day for me. It was personally emotional. And I was not focused that day on everything that was going on all across the state. What I was focused on was my wife and my brother, who were in Lower Manhattan and who I hadn't heard from for a long, long time. But if you'd like me to say it another way, I'm happy to say it another way. It didn't happen.
I think a lot of people can relate to what Governor Christie went through on September 11th because millions of Americans went through the same damn thing. The fact is that Donald Trump is not backing down, and now he's attacking Christie for changing his tone and answer.
He didn't say that the other day. He was very weak the other day. So the other day he said it like, well, he doesn't know. And now I guess he feels a little bit emboldened. He must be careful with what he says.
So it turns out, as I see it, that the Republicans are viewing this as some kind of an opportunity, an opening to bring down Trump, to make sure that he doesn't get the nomination. Even Herman Cain is on the bandwagon. We'll get to that in a moment. But I want to go to Dean Obeidallah, who's a columnist for the Daily Beast and host of a radio show, the Dean Obeidallah Show, on Sirius XM Radio. Dean, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Ed. Good to be on with you again.
You bet. This conversation, this story has gone back and forth now, and Trump has kept it alive because he won't back down on it. Is this a conversation on your show, and what are your listeners saying?
Certainly it is a conversation we have on the show, and people will call in, and I think there's obviously a partisan factor to this. If you don't believe Donald Trump, you're probably progressive or at least a reasonable human being. You might be a conservative who's reasonable. If you believe Donald Trump, then I think it's simply partisan, that you're saying, I believe him, I don't believe the mainstream media. It doesn't really matter if it's true or not, because demonizing Muslims plays great in the Republican base. There was a poll just a week ago, 3/4 of Muslims think that, no, 3/4 of Republicans think Islam is at odds with American values. So you can't go wrong demonizing Muslims with the GOP. There's nothing
so Trump basically is building a part of his campaign based on a poll and misinformation on exactly what is going on in the world of faith.
Well, that's a big part of it. I don't think Donald Trump and the truth are ever words you'd have in the same sentence unless you were saying he was not being truthful. I mean, I just wrote an article just yesterday. It came out about Donald Trump, liar in chief, and went through the lie. I mean, they're literally lies. There's not me saying there's opinion. Things from saying Obama wants to bring in 200,000 Syrian refugees, which is just a lie. Obama said 10,000, maybe going up to 50 or 60,000 later on. Trump saying that most of the refugees coming to this country are going to Republican governor states. That's not true at all. Again, a lie. And these are all from PolitiFact. These are not my opinion. They've gone through it. They said it's a lie. The idea that Trump's saying the most of the refugees coming in are men, that's not true. Again, a lie. Again, this 9/11 thing, a lie. Trump, at some point, we need more and more voice on the right that stand up and go, you can't lie your way to the White House. At least I hope you can't lie your way to the White House. And this guy really, there's a point where you have to actually wonder if there's a sociopathic quality to this. Like, does he not know the difference between true and false? And he does not care if he's lying? Because we should care as Americans. If a Democrat was doing this and lying all the time, I would call out that Democrat in a second. So would you, Ed. We need more reasonable voice on the right calling out his lies.
Well, this is an opportunity for Christie to keep his mug in front of the camera. There's no question about this, because this back and forth has put Christie front and center. He may be the first one that will directly criticize Trump, as you suggest. Here it is.
Being warned by Donald Trump to be careful what I say is fascinating. I don't think Donald often picks his words with great care. So, listen, I was there on September 11th. I wasn't across the river in New York City. I was there. and not only myself, but the state attorney general at the time, John Farmer, good, smart, Republican, has said the same thing that I've said, that it didn't happen. And, the worst part of his claim is that he says he saw it on television. Well, no one has been able to unearth any video of any such thing happening. If it was widely enough shown on network television in New York City, you can usually find that video fairly quickly. So
with that, Trump pivots and says this on MSNBC about the faith of Islam. Here it is.
There's something definitely going on. I don't know that question could be answered. It could be answered two ways. It could be answered both ways. But there's something going on there. There's a lot of hatred coming out of at least a big part of it. You see the hatred. I mean, we see it every day. You see it whether it's in Paris or whether it's the World Trade Center or whether it's even 1 minute of silence at a soccer game out of respect for the people that died. And there was no respect by a pretty good group of people in that stadium. And that was a week ago, less than a week ago. There's something nasty coming out of there. And you can answer it any way you want. But at least we have to know the problem.
He is talking about Islam. That's the question he was asked. Your response, Dean?
Well, I mean, it's funny and it's sad at the same time. I wrote an article probably in February or March for the Beast saying my concern was that if marriage equality becomes the law of the land, the Republicans will pivot to just full-time Muslim bashing because that issue of demonizing gays and lesbians would be off the table. And that's exactly what's happened here. So they don't have the marriage equality thing to rally their support around. They have the abortion issue and bashing Muslims. Unfortunately, it seems like it's part of the GOP platform. And I think we will see something in the platform this year, the GOP, something about Sharia law or some way where they're actually going to codify discrimination or demonizing Muslims. It's a wake-up call. There's bullies on the right who would demonize people, any minority group, and Donald Trump is really the leader of the bully field out there, defending a Black Lives Matter protester being beat up as an event, mocking a disabled person, demonizing Latinos, making comments about women, about their look, about Megyn Kelly, if she's on her period or not, and Muslims. It says a lot about the GOP. If they want to pick him, they have every right to pick Donald Trump, but they have defined their party as a hate group, and that's their choice because there's no way around it. Donald Trump is now ventured into the world of full-time anti-Muslim bigotry. He's done Latino stuff, the same thing, that they're sending in rapists, and it's just stoking the flames and dividing as people.
Yesterday, he met with a bunch of Christian pastors from black churches across and parishes across the country. He comes out saying that it was an awesome meeting. There was a lot of love in the room. Was he looking for allies in the Christian faith to help him demonize Islam and try to gather support of Americans that may realize the Muslim faith as a real problem to the United States? And then this is Herman Cain saying that all of this is being used to take down Trump. Listen to this.
But one of the reasons that I continue to set the record straight every day, as many of you all know, is because you have a lot of people in the media and the establishment that are trying to bring down Trump with lies and BS, and it's not going to work.
Lies and BS, and it's not going to work. But there seems to be a pattern here. Get Herman Cain to speak at one of your events, go meet with the black pastors. What do you make of this strategy?
Well, I think he knows he has to build his tent a little bit bigger, Donald Trump. Right now, he's demonized so many groups. You're down to conservative white people, frankly, and you can't win the general election. You can win the primary with that. You can't win the general election. There was numerous people I saw yesterday on TV, like Bishop Carletta Vaughn and others, saying that they want nothing to do with Donald Trump. They would not endorse Trump in her lifetime, she said. And there were other leaders of the black Christian community saying the same thing. There might be some that he appeals to. That would make sense. There's some small percentage that he appeals to who like him. Maybe they think he's a strong leader. I don't think he's appealing to them on the anti-Muslim tirade, more probably economic issues. But Donald Trump's lack of nuance or understanding of any issue is alarming for people. Right. He really is almost like Ben Carson's lack of knowledge, saying there's good things, there's nasty things, there's bad things. I wish the media would really hold his feet to the fire on the issue of policy, nuance on policy, and I think it'll be an embarrassment to everyone to see how little he really knows about policy in this country, what's going on from economic policy to foreign policy. I think it's all winging it. It's all, this is good and this is bad, it's huge, it's not huge. At some point, he has to become a real candidate, and the media has to do this service and not keep chasing his tail on these little other things that he wants to define the campaign, and he wants to do the agenda, which is everything but policy. Everything but policy. That's what Donald Trump's about, personality, not policy. Let's hold him to policy.
Dean Obeidallah, Sirius XM radio host. Great to have you with us, Dean.
Thanks,
Appreciate
nice
your time.
you,
Thank you. You bet.